welcome to this session on how to connect ReactJS with Node.js. And in this session, we are actually going to look at how do we connect ReactJS with Node.js. So a very warm welcome to this session on ReactJS connectivity with Node.js. And in this session, we are going to focus on how do we connect our ReactJS application with the Node.js platform. So we are going to dive into creating a hands-on demo which will have two parts to it. We would have the client application that we will first create as a React application. We will then create an ExpressJS application with Node.js, and we will then try to connect both of those applications together. So ExpressJS is a rapid application development framework that allows us to create a web application very quickly on the Node.js platform, and we'll use it to create a custom API and then connect that endpoint to the ReactJS client application. So let's dive into our demo, and let's start with creating our client and Node Express applications and see how to set them up and then get them connected to each other. Let's start with our hands-on demo, and we will first go to the Node.js website, nodejs.org. We can download the LTS version, which is the stable version of Node.js. The moment I click on this, it will prompt me for a download. It will download the MSI file, and then all I need to do is double click on it, keep clicking on the next button and install. That would install Node.js for us. Next, we'll open our editor. You can use any editor of your choice. So I'm going to use an editor called Visual Studio Code, and let's open up the terminal here. And I also have the command prompt open where I've navigated to a folder that I've created called ReactJS demos. Now we'll invoke the npm package manager, which is invoked by the command npx. So npx will not only install packages but also execute them once they are installed. So once they are downloaded, it will execute the package, and we will use npx to go and create a React application called client. So while we give it time for the installation to complete, we can then open it within our editor. So we'll give it time so that the installation completes. So the installation is completed, and so we have seen here that the installation is now completed. And let's go and open up this project. So I will say file and open folder, and let me pick up that folder and we will open this application called client. So that's my client app. Let's fire up the terminal. So okay, so that has launched the terminal for us, and here all we need to do to fire up this application and get it running is npm start, which will compile and start up this application that is created. Let's close this. We'll go to the browser, and now let's say localhost 3000. So that gives us our startup page, the sample default startup page for the first client application. And this is going to work as our client. We'll now go and try to create the backend application, which is going to be another application that we will set up. And to create that, let's say npx express generator API. Okay, so this will create an Express application on Node.js called API, and let's give it some time for installation. Okay, so that's done. Clear this screen. We'll come out here. We'll open another instance of the editor. We'll say open folder, and that's the API application. We'll say select folder, and the API application is opened. Let's go to the terminal. Now in the terminal, we will attempt to install all of the packages that are required that would be logged in the package.json file. So the package.json file here would be listed. So you can see we have a list of packages that it uses, and npm install will go and install all of these packages that were pre-listed here. So let me ensure it's executed correctly, and we'll fire that once more. That's done. So npm install has installed all of the packages required, and let me terminate this run by pressing a Ctrl C. So this terminates the client application that was executing, and now we will say npm start so that this application executes, and let's refresh. So that's the standard Express application now that has got installed. Now let's go to the API application. we'll go into the bin folder, and here we'll have a file called www. We will change the default port number from 3000 to 9000. Let me stop this application from executing. We've just updated the port number. Now let's go to the routes, and we'll create a new file in the routes folder called testapi.js. Here we will say variable express equal to require express, and here we'll say variable router equal to express.router, and here we will say router.get. We'll open this. So that's the default route. Root route is going to be slash, for which we'll add a callback function which will take the request and the response parameter and next pointer in case there is another function to call post that. And here we will just send a simple message saying API is working. Okay, a simple message sent out for the root default route, and we'll have to export this. So we'll say module.exports equal to router. All right, so that's done. Let's go to the app.js file, and here let us import that. So here is where we will import this by saying app.use. We want to use the test API file, and that is test API router. And this is exactly the same variable name that we will declare here, which will be equal to require, and we are going to say routes test API. All right, so let's try launching this now. We would say npm start after adding this code. Let's go out here, and 3000 test API is going to be the URL to hit. It's not 3000 but 9000 now because we just updated the port. So 9000 test API, and there we have our message which says that the API is working properly. So this is tested. Now let's go to the client application. In the client application, let's go to the app.js file. Okay, this is the file that we would have to revamp a bit. So let's revamp this. Here we will declare a class app which extends, so that creates a new module. So it extends react.component, and here we have constructor. We will accept the props. Here I would pass props to the superclass constructor and set the state to API response. Currently it just has an empty value. Next we'll add up a new function called call API, which will generate a call to that API URL, which was HTTP localhost. 9000 was the port, and test API was the URL. Once this is called, we will then call the then function, declare response, generate a call to response.text, and then we will again say this dot set state API response is going to be equal to the response that comes in from that URL, which is nothing but a string which says API is working. Another function called component will mount. So the moment the component is initialized on the screen and loaded, we will generate a call to this function we created called call API. Then comes the render function. In the render function, we would go and return a div. Class name is app. This would be app header, the standard logo, after which in the paragraph, we wouldn't need the link here. Right after the header, we'll add a paragraph where we will print this dot state and the variable we created called API response, and we will data bind to that. So that largely completes the return. So we simply create this application. That's the React application that will talk to this API that is, and this URL that is hosted on Node, communicate with it, get a simple string as a response, print that string inside this React application. So once that's done, we have the component will mount, which is a lifecycle method here. It's a lifecycle event that gets triggered the moment the component loads, and that's when we have actually gone and executed the call API custom function. Let's go to the API application. We'll terminate the execution here. There's one more step that we'll have to perform, which is cross-origin resource sharing, which means that to allow the React application to communicate from another hosted domain to this particular domain server, we will actually have to enable cross-origin scripting and sharing. Otherwise, it will block the request coming from another application. So for that, we'll have to install globally cross-origin module, and --save indicates that it's going to do a global install for all applications that are on this particular system. So we've installed this and we'll clear the screen. Let's go to the app.js, and right here is where we would want it to go and use CORS. So we will say app.use CORS so that it uses this particular API, and here is where we will declare the CORS variable and go and import the new library package that we just installed, which is CORS. So looks good. And now let's fire up this application with an npm start. Let's also fire up client with an npm start. And now when I go and try looking for localhost 3000, which is the React application should go and talk to the API that is hosted on Node.js, which returns to me that string message. So if I go and ping that API separately, which is localhost 9000 test API, you can see this is a standard message. So here I've directly pinged the API that's hosted in Node.js. Now we are consuming it through the ReactJS application. And if you scroll down, you can see the message returned from Node.js into React saying the API is working properly. So the practical impact of this is to actually host RESTful services, etc. on Node as a server, and you can go and consume the data that is returned there, could be in string, text or JSON format directly into the ReactJS, acting as a client application. Finally, we'd like to extend a big thank you for viewing our content, and I hope this has added value to your learning journey and has been instrumental in supporting you and assisting you with learning the right skills and acquiring the right skills on this technology to help extend and grow your career path and your journey way forward in the industry. Thank you so much, and a big thank you on behalf of the Simplilearn platform.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.